When the PA system booms, gentlemen, start your engine. Gentlemen, start your engine. Excitement goes through the crowd like an electric shock. The green flag sends us to our feet.
Ready, go.
Drive.
We're racing in Canada.
Settle in nice and smooth. Clear, long Canadian, so clear.
Race bumper to bumper at extraordinary speed.
He tackles him right at the end of the start-finish line.
The race is to live.
Outside of Toronto in Ontario, Canada, the Camping World Truck Series at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Good afternoon and welcome along with Michael Waltrip, Phil Parsons. I'm Vince Welch. It's race number 15 of the season. Our pit reporters, Chris Neville and Hermie Sadler. Hermie?
Well, Vince, Alex Tagliani is back in the Camping World Truck Series for his third start. First two starts here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, 2 poles, and he was almost headed to victory lane back in 2015. He is chasing Eric Jones back to the checkered flag, but listen to what happens to the transmission in the 29. He loses third gear and loses his opportunity to win. He is back in the 02 truck, trying to make it back to victory lane. First time in the Truck Series, he'll do it from the 12th starting position. Chris Neville?
Well, Justin Haley's finished inside the top 10 in all but just one race weekend this summer. And even with that consistency, it's easy to feel just outside the spotlight in the series with so much young talent. But with this front row starting spot, he's inching closer to that first win and a spot in the playoffs. And I asked Justin, what are you willing to do to get that win? He said, my attitude has got to be to do anything. I've got to win at all costs. And there's going to be contact at the end of this race, and I would rather be on the giving side than the receiving side. But Justin Haley showing that he's got a lot of speed, now trying to find victory lane. Let's hear that command.
Put your hands together for Craig Anderson from the Ottawa Senators.
Drivers, start your engines.
Fire in the hole, but go ahead and fire it up. Fire it up.
You know the deal then.
32 trucks getting ready to roll. The fans are ready. Here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, it's their most attended race of the season. A little fall in the air. Sweatshirt and jacket weather for sure here in Canada, but the fans have come out, sitting on the hill and in the stands around the track. It is a nice day today here north of the border as we take a look at our Camping World track description.
Just under 2.5 miles of twists and turns, 10 turns. But the thing that I think of most, Vince, when I think of this track are the elevation change. You can see they're going straight downhill as they head off pit road toward turn 1.
And our Camping World race analysis, Phil.
You see this race is 64 laps. We break it up into 3 stages, 20, 20, and 24. You see our previous winners from the last 4 years. Important part, their pit window, 32 to 34 laps. A lot of guys are talking about making this race on one stop about halfway.
Take a look at our starting lineups today, and of course that great qualifying effort, track record speed yesterday by Austin Cindric to score his first career pole in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, the 10th different pole winner this season. Justin Haley also with his best start up there on the front row.
How about Parker Kligerman? He's an ARCA winner last year on the road course in New Jersey. A lot of road course racing background in his previous experience.
There's Ben Rhodes. He's really a strong road racer, has this race as one that he thinks he can win. And watch Alex Tagliani, the Canadian, starting back in 12th position.
Gary Clute, another one of the Canadians with some experience here. Grant Enfinger needs a good day today for his playoff hopes.
There's Chase Briscoe back there in row number 9, just trying to stay on the racetrack and get on to Chicago.
Jason Hathaway, another Canadian. He's in the 66 truck. There's Jordan Anderson.
It's an opportunity for some drivers, if they can keep it pointed in the right direction and stay out of trouble and let some other drivers maybe make some mistakes. You could see some drivers with some solid, maybe even some season best finishes today here on the road course.
Yeah, without a doubt. We saw that last week in the Xfinity Series at Road America. A lot of guys either equaled or set their career best. Could have the exact same thing here.
Let's check in with some of the crew chiefs, and we'll go downstairs and join Chris Neville.
Well, Vince, Ryan Trix just above the cut line for the playoffs. And Scott, I'm hearing a lot of different strategies up and down pit lane here. You guys have a lot on the line. What's the plan for today?
That's a really good question. There's like 10 ways you can run this race. For us, it's going to do what we've been doing all year and just run our own race. Ryan's going to race the racetrack, try to keep the fenders clean, and try to gain as many points as we can on each segment. I think that's more important than doing like a one-stop race and trying to go for a win. So we'll see what happens. We've got to get past lap 40. We'll see where our truck is, and hopefully we can get this Don Valley North truck up front and, just try to gain some points and keep it clean.
Good luck today. Harmony?
Well, Doug Randolph is the crew chief for the 19 of Austin Cindric. We heard the news a couple of weeks ago. Your team will not be back next year, but so far this weekend, you guys have come and executed perfectly. What has been your role in keeping your guys focused on the prize?
Well, it has been a very difficult week for all the guys here at BKR, and we're glad to get back to the racetrack. We've all talked about it. We all feel like we got some work left to do. Austin's done a great job, and especially my team. It's a great group of guys, best group I've ever worked with. Nobody I'd rather go into battle with today. So it's all about the win today for us. And, at the end of the race, you'd love to have the best tires, the best fuel, and the best track position. That's always hard to do. So we'll see how it plays out today.
These guys are on the pole, Vince, with a new track record.
Looking forward to it and what Austin Cindric can do, and also looking forward to some of these onboard cameras and the perspective they'll provide.
Yeah, let's ride along with Cody Coughlin. That's the Jegs.com on board. Cody had that great 8th-place finish at Pocono just 2-3 races ago, and he starts from the 19th spot.
Chase Briscoe in the Cooper Standard Ford will carry our Ford onboard camera. He's starting in the 18th position. A throwback scheme to team owner Brad Keselowski's dad, Bob, who won at Richmond. The only father-son duo to win in the trucks.
How about John Hunter Nemechek? And check out the look he's going to give us with his visor cam. This is a Chevrolet on board. John Hunter starting in the 7th spot. That head is going to have a lot of movement here for this race.
And Phil, we got you covered from head to toe. You showed us the visor cam. Check out the foot cam for Justin Haley. He's going to show us some great shots from what it's like to do the dance around this 10-turn road course. The 18-year-old is going to row from the front row.
It's going to be fun. The only road course race of the season. We'll do it from Canada when we come back. Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. 32 trucks coming toward the green flag. They're going to get the green this time by.
Vince, we talk about the experience and the inexperience of the youngsters up front here. Well, you do have to have experience to win a road course race. You know what the average age is of the winners here in 4 tries, right?
Pretty young, right?
It's less than 19 years old.
Well, that fits right in with the 2 guys we got on the front row. One turned 19 yesterday, and one is 18 years old.
And you could see, I talked about the elevation changes. They went down into turn 8. It's downhill into there, a little bit up into 9, and then again, downhill, uphill, all over this racetrack. Makes it very difficult.
Yeah, coming down turn 9 and then into turn 10 right here, and that feeds them to the start-finish line. The green flag is out, and we're racing in Canada. Cindric, the pole winner, to the point, into turn 1. Great view from the visor of John Hunter Nemechek and what he sees.
You hear him patiently waiting to get back in the gas. Made a nice run up the hill there. This track, all the rubbers was washed off of it from a rainstorm, so these trucks are going to handle a little bit differently now. Guys are tiptoeing a bit.
Rained hard throughout the overnight and through most of the morning today, and still a threat of rain.
Great side-by-side battle right here between John Hunter Nemechek and the 8, Justin Haley, the 24. Kaz Gralla did an amazing job to grab second on that initial start.
And did I mention 40 miles an hour in a truck? That's what it sounds like. Those things are really lugging as they come off turn 5. But man, will they ever get them wound up down the back straightaway, Phil? 3,400 feet long. That means drafting. Watch these guys really pull up on one another and pull out and make the slingshot into turn 8.
Yeah, Justin Haley, who started on the front row, has slipped back to 5th there in that 24 machine. That's John Hunter Nemechek in the bright colored truck just ahead of him. Won this race a year ago in a somewhat controversial fashion, banging doors right to the finish line.
We've had a lot of banging doors at the end of these races here.
Expect more of the same today. Well, we talked about Haley going from the front row back to 5th. Look at it here on the replay on the right-hand side.
A little bit tentative there. There's Christopher Bell, the Ford truck, going to grab that 3rd spot from him.
You can see he just swings a little bit wide here up in 5, and it gave guys the chance to get to the inside and make the move.
Cindric in the 19, Kaz Grala running 2nd in that 33 truck, a winner already early this season. In fact, the season opener at Daytona. He's clinched a spot in the playoffs.
But they're trying to right the ship, Vince. Kaz Grala, Jerry Baxter, that whole GMS team, they've struggled since that win at Daytona. Had a great 2nd place finish at Dover, but lately not much to hang their hat on. It's playoff time, Phil. This is when you really want to get things in gear and get going so you can make a run for the championship. Kaz is doing a great job early.
Another one of those young men with a lot of experience in road racing, more so his background than oval track racing.
Yeah, Kaz Grala, just 18 years old. You say, well, how much experience could you possibly have at just 18? But really did kind of come up through the sports car ranks and a lot of experience going left and right. But, Mike, as you said, they got off to such a good start with that win at the beginning of the season at Daytona. And through the first 7 races, it looked very promising. But then they struggled the last 7, and it's going to be a little bit of a confidence shaker for them.
And on the
rear tire fans off.
Rear tire fans must mean that the truck is not handling the way that Haley wants it to. Needs to heat those rear tires up, maybe start a little low on pressure. That's why you turn those fans off. There you see Cindric. He hasn't had a single issue since they threw the green flag. But I'll tell you, the last time by, Phil, Kaz Grala was the fastest truck on the racetrack. So you talked about his experience in sports car racing, Vince. He shares a seat with his dad, Darius, a lot of times on the off weekends racing sports cars.
Well, there's that first 7 races versus the last 7 races that we talked to. How do you get the confidence back after you've gone through a series of tough and difficult races?
You have a run like you're having right now. Even though this is a road course and all the rest of the races we run are ovals, you have a good race here. You get that confidence back. You go to Chicago about 3 inches off the ground.
And I talked to that team. They had a great test down at Miami. He drove the heck out of that truck, really impressive with his feedback. Kaz is only 18 years old. He's going to get better and better, and this team could be formidable when it comes championship time.
Here's a look at that 27 truck. That's Ben Rhodes, currently running 9th behind Noah Gregson and Ryan Truex. Truex there in that 16, and Truex is the driver on the playoff bubble, just 9 points to the good.
And behind him, we talked at the opening about Grant Enfinger. Enfinger settled in the 17th position. I wouldn't mind if I was his crew chief, his interim crew chief. I would want him just to ride there for a while. He had issues at one of the past races, had his crew chief suspended, so Tracy Hines is filling in on Enfinger's truck. I would tell him just ride there for now. Let's get some laps under us, be very smooth and steady.
Look at those bubble drivers and where they currently are running. Chase Briscoe in pretty good shape, 91 points to the good. I don't want to take it for granted. Anything could happen, but he's got to feel pretty confident. He's not a road course racer by admission, but 91 points is a nice cushion to have where you're coming someplace you're not familiar with.
And what that bubble graphic didn't show is the 2 guys running up front with Austin Cindric and Justin Haley, because they're not even considered in contention to point their way in, so they have to win their way in.
And that's just going to put more and more pressure on our bubble drivers, and that's what Truex is thinking about. That's what Enfinger is considering. What are others doing? I want to be Chase Briscoe. He goes out and has a smooth day today. He'll go to Chicago in great shape to make the playoffs.
You mentioned Grant Enfinger, and he is running in that 17th spot.
And I think Chase Briscoe is a young man that's proven he doesn't make very many mistakes. He's only had 1 race this year that he finished worse than 12th the entire schedule.
Cody Coughlin had a bit of a struggle during practice,
There
but
you go, good 8, 9, 10, real good. Clear by 4, stretch, clear by 5.
and that's what you need from your spotter. That's what you need from your team. Encouragement. Didn't have a good practice day yesterday. Tell me what I'm doing right, spotter. Show me when I make up ground, how I can get better and better. Cody's paying attention and driving that truck strong. There's
Infinger just ahead of Chase Briscoe. Two drivers that, Mike, you guys talked about in the open. Neither one of them feel comfortable on the road course, but they still, if they keep it pointed in the right direction all day long, they feel like they can salvage a good finish. That's the goal for these guys.
And they're going to get more comfortable as they go. Again, Chase Briscoe only one road race in his history of his career, and that was the ARCA race at New Jersey. Same thing for Grant Enfinger. He's run that ARCA race in New Jersey 3 times, but that's his only road course experience as well.
How about the pressure that a guy like Enfinger might be feeling? He's the first guy out of the playoff picture. Only 2 races to go in the playoffs, and one of those races here where he's admittedly not comfortable.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure on him. He seems to handle that pressure well. Remember Bristol, our last time out, he was without his crew chief, Jeff Hensley. That was the first race of the 2-race suspension that he had to serve, and he finished in the top 5 with an interim crew chief. So he does a pretty good job withstanding the pressure.
Well, we talked about Justin Haley starting on the front row there in that 24 truck. He slipped back down to the 5th spot. Chris Neville?
Yeah, Vince, pretty surprised about that. Yesterday in qualifying, Justin Haley fired off very fast, but in these opening laps, he's saying the back end of that truck just sliding around way too loose. I just checked in with crew chief Kevin Bellacourt, and he said, nothing to worry about. We just need to let it come to him. I'm telling him to be patient. Don't worry, we have a long race in front of us. Hermie?
Well, Chris, Phil Parsons talking about pressure, and one team and driver that you can tell is feeling the pressure this weekend is the 18 of Noah Gragson. He's been telling me and everybody in the garage that he thinks that this race, this weekend, is his best opportunity to win and race for a championship. So far, the truck is a little bit loose to start with, but the last 2 or 3 laps are starting to come to him, and he is gaining a little bit of ground on the top 5, but they know this race is very, very important. Sometimes when the pressure is on, you crack, but sometimes you step up to the plate. That's what Noah Gragson is hoping to do today.
And the team, Kyle Busch Motorsports, built a truck, a new truck for Noah Gragson to bring here this weekend. And crew chief Marcus Richmond, they know that this is their opportunity. Noah said, I had this one circled on the calendar from the very beginning of the season. Loves the road course racing. They feel like this is their chance. But they're all chasing the 19 right now. Austin Cindric has led them all so far.
He cannot get away from Kaz Gralla, though, can he, Michael?
And you know, Phil, I'm liking what I'm seeing from Gralla. He's able to take really conservative lines and keep up with the 19 of Cindric. You can see he's running lower there. Cindric has to swing out wider. He's able to arc the corner in and keep the truck tucked lower on exit. This 33 truck is the best truck on the track right now, and he just needs to be patient. It's early in the race and make the move around Cindric because he's got a better truck now.
Coming up on a lapped vehicle as well, so we'll see if that comes into play, maybe providing an opportunity for Gralla to make the move. That 74 gets out of the way. That's Joe Hudson.
Hudson's making his first series start, and he just got out of the way. That was a nice job by that man. But it cost Gralla. He had a bit of a setup there, going up the hill, had that distance erased.
6 laps into it. Austin Cindric has led them all. While we go to commercial break, you'll see all the action from Canada.
Let's go places.
Coney Island has been around for a long, long time. Reminds me of how Geico has been saving people money for over 75 years.
First date? Hey, big guy, come on in. Let me guess your weight. Win a prize.
Sure, why not?
12 ounces?
Sorry, mate, 4 ounces. I've been taking the stairs lately.
You win, big guy.
Sorry. Excuse me.
Wow, he looks so much more real on TV.
Yeah. Over 75 years of savings and service. Get your rate quote today.
The end of the week. Work is over, school is out, and the wild ones come out to play.
The green flag is out.
Pups get a chance to dance with the big dogs.
Oh, they're going at it.
roars from engines compete with roars of fans. And the stadium lights become a spotlight for one.
Here he is, Johnny Sauter.
It's truck season, America.
And that's how restrictor plates reduce air intake. Moving on, drag is one of your biggest competitors.
It slows you down, so make sure your car is streamlined.
And don't forget to get an edge with drafting.
Take advantage of the high-pressure air between your car and the one in front. Then you can slingshot it.
You guys taking notes?
At the track, in the classroom, and online. Visit AccelerationNation.com or download the Acceleration Nation app today.
Back at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, it is the Camping World Truck Series, and Austin Cindric has led all 8 laps so far. That 19 machine, Kaz Gralla, has been on his heels almost every step of the way. And thought there for a moment Gralla was going to be in position to make a move a couple of laps ago, but he slipped back just a notch, and Cindric's got a little more breathing room.
Yeah, they caught the lap truck of Hudson. We saw that happen, and Gralla lost nearly a second on that one lap, Vince, and they've been able to break just about even since then. So the deficit has not grown or shrunk. So be interesting to watch these guys play it out. Phil, you run 10 or 12 laps around this 2.5-mile road course on 10 turns. These tires are starting to wear. Really going to see right now who has a good long-run truck and who doesn't.
Yeah, I looked up. It seemed like we've been running quite a while. We'd only run 6 laps so far, so we've completed 8 laps right now, and these guys have opened up about a 4-second lead over that third-place battle between Christopher Bell right there and John Hunter Nemechek in the 8.
Yeah, those 3 trucks we just saw going through the screen there, the 4 of Bell, the 8 of Nemechek, and then the 24 Justin Haley we ride on board with here. There's 3 drivers right there that we wouldn't be surprised at all if any of those 3 ended up in victory lane, currently running 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
And we don't know really what the strategy is for some of these guys, because we know that a lot of these guys are going to try to make this race at one stop. So they may be riding along right here around 5th. Justin Haley may be riding along in 5th, trying to save some fuel, knowing that he's got to make this race to halfway and then make it the rest of the way from there.
And save some tires. Let's make sure we don't have our tires go away on this strategy. So he's going to hear a lot from his spotter and his crew chief about not buzzing the rear tires.
It's a 64-lap race, fuel window about 32, right? I mean, you can go about 32, 31, 32 laps on a tank of fuel. But remember, last year, John Hunter Nemechek pitted once on lap 25, and we went 2 extra laps of overtime, and he still made it.
Yeah, he went 41 laps. We had 11 caution laps, and that's going to really change us. If these guys go green, they think they can go this first stint to about 31 to 32, and then after that, somewhere between 32 to 34 because of the pace laps early on. So it's still going to be close. But I was talking to Junior Joyner. He said, I'm telling you, they're telling me I can only run 29 laps. He said, I think my strategy is try to get as many stage points as we can get in the 2 stages, and then worry about the end of the race. But right now, he's out of a point-paying position in 12th.
He's looking at running to lap 20 and pitting, and running to lap 40 and pitting as well. So a 2-stop strategy for that team. Heard a lot of varying strategies from the crew chiefs down in the garage area.
There's Nemechek, last year's winner in the 8. Justin Haley in the 24. And coming through, Parker Kligerman there in that 75 with Noah Gregson. What a nice weekend for Kligerman as well. There's the 0-2 of Alex Tagliani. Really kind of expected Tagliani to maybe get some positions early on, but just has snagged 1 spot.
And that could be learning about the truck, Vince. Not a lot of practice for this team yesterday. Hermie, they didn't get much practice. What's he reporting the truck's doing? Why isn't he moving up?
Well, you're right, Michael. Did not get any laps at speed in the first practice because the interior of the truck was not to his liking. The steering wheel, the pedals, all those things. Took him all morning basically to get that done. A few laps in the second practice, but I just spoke to crew chief Chad Kendrick on this 02. He said the truck is too loose for Alex, especially on the right-handers, which require a lot of speed. So they need more forward drive for the 02.
Tagliani, a couple of poles here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Does a lot of racing up here in Canada, his native land. He runs in the Pinty Series full-time, raced earlier today. In fact, finished 2nd in that race.
He's a former winner here in the Pinty Series.
Ben Rhodes in the black 27 truck there, following the bright yellow 51 of Todd Gilliland. Rhodes locked up his tires. He had a run on the inside, or excuse me, Rhodes did. He had a run on the inside of Gilliland and had to abort.
Gilliland making his third start for Kyle Busch Motorsports, just 17 years old. And you look at his finishes, 20th and 21st, don't really tell the story of how well he has run in his two races. They've had mechanical issues in both, a suspension issue and a transmission issue. I mean, Gilliland has had top 5 caliber runs in both of his previous starts leading into today.
Yeah, without a doubt here. And he's got a great run going here as well, up in the top 10.
Here's a good look at Ryan Truex. Get more on Truex with Chris Neville.
Yeah, Vince, we saw Truex go through turn 5 there, a little bit wide. Yesterday in practice, he said this is the best truck he has had at this racetrack. However, he said in the long sweeping corners, he was picking up the inside tire a little bit too much and losing the front end of the truck when it was doing that. It feels like they've got that under control, but now in these long sweeping corners, the back end of that truck just sliding too much out from underneath it. So when we get into this window of pit stops, that's what he wants the team to focus on, try and settle the back end of that truck down.
And of course, Ryan Truex is the brother of Cup star Martin Truex Jr. Martin with 4 wins. They'll race later tonight in Darlington. Truex leads the points in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series, and actually Martin could clinch the regular season title tonight at Darlington. How much of a help, Chris Neville, has Martin been for Ryan and the relationship that those two have as they both chase a championship?
You know, Vince, I talked to Ryan about that yesterday, and he said it has just been so cool to watch Martin this year and how well he's been doing. He said, you know, you really have to take a look at his entire career, and it's taken 10 years to get the right manufacturer, the right team, the right crew chief, get all of those pieces in place for Martin to do what he's doing this year. And he said, the biggest takeaway for me is it's telling me to be patient. I want success right now, but watching my brother, it's teaching me patience.
Well, maybe use some of that patience here today as he protects his position in the playoff rankings. Truex currently running 8th. On board with John Hunter Nemechek as we take a break in Canada. 19-year-old Austin Cindric has led all 15 laps so far as we make our way toward the end of stage 1 here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Cindric celebrated his 19th birthday yesterday with a record run in qualifying, earned his first career pole. Matt Crafton in that 88 came for a pit stop during the commercial break. Chris?
That's right, Vince. He was one of the first of our front runners to come into pit lane, and he had a fast truck firing off at the beginning of this race, but started to lose the handle about midway through this run. When he came in, 4 tires, fuel, big adjustment, because he said the back end of that truck just way too loose through the right-handers on this racetrack.
And Phil, you know, if he gets this truck right, this could be a stage 2 winning move. He gets to stage 1, he stays out, grabs the track position, has enough fuel to get to the end of stage 2. He needs those points. He talked to you earlier in the day about how much he wanted them. This could be a move that gets him there.
And he wasn't going to get any stage 1 points because he'd fallen too far outside the top 10. So I think it's a great call on the fly by Junior Joyner to make something happen.
And you talked to this team yesterday. They had a really fast truck. They loved where it was. I watched him heat up the trucks ahead of him, just got really loose, lost some ground, came in, made an adjustment. We'll see where it goes here from here.
Yeah, you mentioned Crafton outside the top 10. He was 15th when he came to pit road. We'll see how that strategy plays out as we ride with Justin Haley, still in that 5th spot. He started on the front row, but immediately lost 4 positions right out of the gate and has been holding steady here in the 5th position.
But Vince, I think he's better than the trucks he's following right now. Just being patient, using some of his road racing experience, knowing that he has to take care of those tires. They still got a long way to go on them if they indeed do intend on going to halfway before pitting.
That's a good look at Haley, the front of his truck as he charges behind John Hunter Nemechek.
Yeah, these trucks have been together the entire time. Christopher Bell out in front of John Hunter Nemechek and Justin Haley right behind.
There's the 96 of DJ Kennington, Canadian. 3 wins here, not in the trucks, but has been to victory lane at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park and done a lot of racing here.
Yeah, essentially a new team. Marty Gaughan is, that owns Triad Engine Development, has started this team and actually ran the Daytona 500 with DJ Kennington. They made that race, and here they are with this truck up here in Canada.
That was a terrible pit stop for the team, though. If they had some sort of strategy to get in and out and gain some track position, they wasted it all there. They couldn't get the left front tire off. You could see issues there on that pit stop.
There's the 4 of Christopher Bell leading that 3-truck charge that we've talked about today as Justin Haley kind of took a look there on the inside of John Hunter Nemechek. Gives you an indication that maybe Haley's feeling like it's time to go. He's got a faster truck than what Nemechek has. Maybe make a move with it.
And remember, stage points really don't matter that much to Justin Haley because of his age. Had to miss the first 2 races of the year. He wasn't yet 18 years old. NASCAR has allowed him, if he was able to win a race, to get into the playoffs, but he's not going to point his way into the playoffs, so stage points really don't mean that much to him.
Yeah, the only thing that matters to Justin Haley is victory lane at the end of the day.
This truck's moving up. We talked about Truex and his patience. Chris did a report on him down there, and I watched him work his way around Parker Kligerman. And on the scoring monitor, he's had one of the top 2 or 3 fastest trucks. He talked about how good this truck was in practice. He's proving it here in the race.
It was a really tough race last time out for Truex. He finished 16th at Bristol, but he lost 20 points to the bubble. I mean, he had a nice 29-point cushion, lost 20 points to the bubble. It means he just had a 9-point advantage coming into this race, and those are big points.
And that's why these racers love stage racing so much. You go out and you perform, you can take points away from others. You can gain more than they can. You can make up big deficits, and that's what we saw at Bristol.
Yeah, 16-point finish. I mean, 16th-place finish, not that bad of a finish, and he lost 20-point bubble with it.
Yeah, we saw Grant Enfinger one time actually finish ahead of one of the competitors he was racing with for that playoff spot and lost ground because of the stage points.
So 2 laps to go until the end of stage 1, and that means the pits are closed. The pits close with 2 to go at the prior to the end of each stage. What kind of pit strategy do you see coming at the end of this first stage?
I think pack the thing full of fuel and put 4 tires on it.
I think in some others will probably stay out, not even come to pit road. So it'll be mixed up, Vince, just like we've seen already with guys coming to pit road and taking advantage of trying to get in and off pit road before you lose a lap. A big track, you can do that here, and then gain track position for later in the race.
But I think some of those guys with a strategy to make it on one stop, they were counting on a few caution laps too here, and we haven't had any of those. So they have to be a little bit worried about a good battle here between a couple Canadians.
Gary Clute and Brian Wong.
Actually, Brian Wong is not a Canadian. Brian Wong is actually from California, but he runs a lot of K&N over the years. But Gary Clute, that 49 truck, had a great qualifying effort up in the top 15. These guys battling for position.
Oh, you can see Clute just locked that right front tire, getting in the corner, opened up the door for Brian Wong in the 99 to go around.
That was for 14th as Wong making just his second Truck Series start. Raced this race a couple of years ago and finished 12th. The 8th different driver that's been in that 99 truck this season. Of course, Bubba Wallace victorious in the 99 earlier this year.
Had some other great finishes, too.
I'm thinking Brandon Jones at Kentucky, wasn't he heating up for the win late in the going? So just some good runs in the 99 truck all year long, like you see. But this guy's a story today. Austin Cindric in the 19 truck. That paint job is a throwback scheme. We know the Cup guys are down in Darlington with their schemes. This is a throwback to team owner Brad Keselowski's Uncle Ron that raced that 19 truck up in the Midwest for so many years. And I know Brad, on the heels of the news he was closing his teams, this is a great day for him to not only see his truck out front, but his Uncle Ron's colors on it.
And the other, Chase Briscoe, is honoring his dad, Bob.
It's the final lap here in stage 1 as Austin Cindric makes his way toward his first stage win of the season.
Kaz Grala shattered him all the way, Vince. Was able to close in early, but has settled in about 10 truck lengths back and just riding in the tire tracks of Cindric.
I don't know that this gap has been more than a second this entire race, has it?
Cindric now coming through turn 10.
Back to the green and white.
You heard the crew tell him, coming to the green and white checkers, and that is the end of stage 1.
Keep rolling until we get the caution, then we'll go into full conservation mode.
That means shut the engine off and coast everywhere you can. Save as much gas as possible. The caution isn't out yet, though, so that's why he's running hard until then.
Austin Cindric leads all 20 laps of stage 1 and gets his first stage win of the season. He needs a race win, though, and there's plenty of work yet to do in Canada. After today, just one more race until the playoffs begin, so every point matters, and Austin Cindric has just won his first stage of the season. Congratulations. Cindric has led all 20 laps, in fact, all 21 laps now after stage 1, so congratulations, and it's been a great start for the 19-year-old.
Yeah, let's see if we can chat with him. Hey, Austin Cindric, Phil and the boys up in the Fox booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. How's it going?
It's going really good. It's going pretty good for you, too. What a great truck you guys have. Had it started off the weekend with that pole. And do you have what you need here to get that thing to victory lane?
Yeah, I think so. I got some pretty tough competitors, though. I think Kaz is going to keep me honest most of this race, and I'm sure I'll see that 24 again. So between strategies and what's going to go on here with the stage racing, it might be pretty interesting for the end of it.
What's your guys' plan here? Pit road probably will be open when you get there. You guys coming in, or are you going to stay out?
I guess you're going to have to wait and see. But I'd expect us to stay out.
Well, thanks a lot, Austin, for that heads up, buddy. Keep going.
Well, I've got a little bit of news for everybody. We don't have to wait and see because we heard crew chief Doug Randolph tell us during the break that they were going to stay out on the racetrack, and I expect most of our front runners will. It'll be interesting for me to see what happens down around the 10th position, especially with Matt Crafton looming back there. He's got those fresher tires. The last green flag lap before the end of stage 1, Phil, Matt Crafton was the fastest truck on the track. So if he moves up near the top 10, he could possibly run through and win this second stage.
Yeah, and he was faster than some of the trucks he was running behind. He just got a little bit loose. I'm sure Junior Joyner tuned him up here. And by the way, Austin Cindric's not going to really fool anybody because he's leading. He's going to be the first one that has to make that decision whether he's coming to pit road or not. So we'll watch when he gets over here to turn number 10.
We've seen 3 drivers come to pit lane already in this early going. The first stage, we had Matt Crafton, DJ Kennington, Chase Briscoe all come to pit road.
I think same situation for Chase Briscoe. He was outside the top 10 and was not going to get any stage points anyway. So I think it was a good call.
There's the entrance to pit road. No takers yet. There's one. That's the 24 of Justin Haley. Coming to you, Chris Neville.
And Vince, with this very tight pit lane, crew chief Kellen Bellecourt said, I'm going to pick this first pit box to minimize mistakes. He said, we need to not worry about having fast pit stops. We need to be worried about having the right pit stops. And Justin Haley saying that truck way too loose, firing off. But once those air pressures came up, said the truck just got tight late in the run.
Yeah, they had a problem on the left rear there.
You can see ahead of him, Vince. There goes Matt Crafton. He was in and off pit road. He came in to get a pretty big adjustment on that 88 truck. Evidently, it's still with where he wanted it. Hermie, what's happening down there?
Great qualifying effort for Parker Ligament in this 75, but the longer they ran, he needs forward drive, especially on the right-hand corner. So 4 tires and air pressure adjustment for the 75.
Those crew guys are busy down there making adjustments on those trucks. A lot of loose race vehicles. The sun's shining down on this track. It's a little bit warmer than it was here yesterday, Phil. I think it's playing havoc with some setups.
I do too, and I like the strategy by Junior Joyner. Come in here, let's make an adjustment. We didn't get that thing quite exactly where we want it, but while we're here, we'll go ahead and fill it up with fuel.
Exactly, and also he's beat everyone that pitted off pit road because his stop was so quick. No tire is just an adjustment, so he still has that track position. Remember, his tires only have a lap or 2 on them.
A couple of slower stops and some issues for the 45 and the 6. The pit road here is very unique. The pit boxes, as far as width and length, are the smallest on the circuit, and even that pit lane between the box and the pit wall, very narrow.
And we know Bristol's narrow, right? 39 feet. How about this one here? 24 feet wide.
And then next week, or next race, we'll go to Chicagoland Speedway at 34 feet. So significantly more narrow. And again, just kind of tightens up your workspace. And then that just creates more opportunity for issue or error.
Yeah, and at least the good news is we have differing strategies. Normally we go to an oval racetrack and everybody comes to pit road at the same time. Obviously, we saw some guys pit under green. We saw some guys come in at the end of this stage, and some guys stayed out. So 3 different strategies so far.
And with the Cup teams running tonight in Darlington, many of these Truck Series teams are working with pit crews that they've either not worked with before or certainly don't work with regularly. So there's a lot of challenge there on pit road today.
And one thing we haven't talked a whole lot about is spotters. Not only do these guys not have their normal spotters because they're probably in Darlington, they have at least 4 spotters around this racetrack.
Riding along with Chase Briscoe and that other Brad Kozlowski racing truck. His truck's painted like Brad's dad, Bob. There's Justin Haley.
We talked about Justin Haley with that pit stop issue. Watch the left rear.
Had to get it back up. Or just decided to put.
I think he knocked all the lug nuts off that tire that he put on there and had to search around for some lug nuts.
Yeah, and if they didn't jack it back up, so if that tire set down on the ground with the load on it, and then they put the lug nuts on, it might not be tight. So that is something that Justin will have to keep in mind. We're coming back to green flag racing. Matt Crafton is scored in the 14th position. Let's see what kind of progress Matt can make.
Yeah, Justin Haley pitted from 5th, by the way, and he restarts 19th. So there's Cindric and Gralla on the front row to restart. Stage 2 in Canada.
Christopher Bell filled that hole that was inside of Kaz Gralla and is going to take the second spot away. Great move by Bell.
So tight as they go up and down through the elevation in these corners, lefts and right.
There's Justin Haley trying to make up some of that deficit on that restart.
Got to be careful. These trucks will stack up, and he's liable to run that nose into the back of one of the guys ahead of him.
That's Todd Gilliam, that pedigree truck right in front of him. There's Parker Kligerman. Now he's going to jump to the outside behind Kligerman. There's Gary Kloot, the 49 truck.
See Brian Wong leading a group of trucks there that includes Ryan Trix. Trix with a nice move off the 5th turn. Looked like momentum there. Johnny Sauter racing along with Matt Crafton.
I'm surprised we haven't had a yellow today. I mean, this has been completely incident-free, but he's even gotten the wheels off into the grass of any significant nature. As stacked up as it has been at times, I'm surprised it's been as clean as it's been.
How about that side-by-side racing down that backstretch? Speeds upwards of 160, 65 miles an hour.
Cindric brings him through 9 and 10. Christopher Bell running second in that 4 truck. John Hunter Nemechek, last year's winner, running third in the 8.
And just remember, Vince, on this restart, Kaz Gralla restarted second. He finds himself back in the 5th position after the restart. Remember what happened on the initial start to Justin Haley? It looks like that second starting position is tough to get going from. We'll have to keep that in mind later in the race.
Great view from John Hunter Nemechek.
Not only is John Hunter running that visor cam for us, he actually makes the visors that we attach that camera to.
How about we ride along with John Hunter Nemechek and listen to the throttle work as well on this truck?
Yes, please. This is awesome.
45 miles an hour right there.
You got it stalled once over to the caution.
Well, we were just talking about the lack of caution, and the yellow is out. We have a truck that is stalled somewhere on track.
Going to be a big relief to some of those guys that are going to try to make it on one stop. They need these caution laps.
Now look what you did, Vince.
Yeah, sorry about that. It caused Jen Joe Cobb's truck to come to a complete stop. Early laps of stage 2. It's belonged to the 19 team of Austin Cindric so far. Back here, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series under yellow, and we've got a taker on pit road. That's the 4 truck of Christopher Bell, and when he arrives to his pit box, Hermie Sadler will be there.
Vince, they contemplated coming in prior to the end of the first stage. He needs more forward drive, but they decided to stay on the racetrack, finish out that stage, so they took this opportunity to come down pit road. Going to be 4 tires, wedge adjustment for the 4, and again, they need to make this truck where he can use more throttle as he's pulling off the corners on the right side. They also are pulling half spring rubbers out of both rear springs.
Christopher Bell, of course, our series points leader, championship leader in the playoff standings.
Pitted from the 2nd position, and you can see that spring rubber laying on the ground there. That's a big adjustment. He can't afford to wait later in the race to make that adjustment, Phil, especially under the break for the 2nd stage if that's when they decided to pit, because you just lose too much ground. Get it done now and get the truck better for later.
Riding on board with Cody Coughlin. Take a look at how the spotters are out there to help drivers worry less with our spotter coverage, brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Clear by a half, clear by a half, clear by 1, clear by 2. All good. Hit your mark. Clear by 2, clear by 2. Nice job. Nice job. Clear by 4.
part spotter, part cheerleader?
Part that would make me worry more if I had to listen to all that. When I was a race car driver, I didn't want to hear all that much information. But when you get near a corner, it sure is nice to know you got a gap and nobody's going to try to dive on the inside of you.
Well, Matt Crafton came in and pitted on lap 14. Are they happier with that truck, Chris?
Well, Vince, I still think they're trying to figure it out. And we can see if you look at the left front corner on that truck, he's got a little bit of damage up there. That was contact from Alex Tagliani early in the race. And I checked in with crew chief Junior Joyner and asked him, is that the problem? And he said, well, Matt thinks it is. But when you look at it, there's not that much damage. So we're surprised that that's throwing off the handling. Just listening to Matt under this caution, he said, boy, in these high-speed corners, when I'm up close to a truck in front, I just lose the front end. I can't finish the corner.
Crafton mentioned that pit stop on lap 14. He was the first to pit, and he also came back and pitted on lap 22 with that larger contingent of trucks that came to pit road.
And we'll also want to go back to Christopher Bell's pit stop. He came in on lap number 26. Remember, John Hunter Nemechek won this race that actually went 2 laps longer than the prescribed distance, pitting on lap 25. So that he has that in the back of his pocket, too, if he can get enough caution laps. He's going to have some caution laps to make a pit stop this past lap work.
Bell said he really wants to win here in Canada because he's won in all the other countries he's raced, the United States, New Zealand, and Australia. He said, now I'm in Canada, I want to win here too. He's greedy.
We talked about earlier that second starting spot was tough for anybody to get going, and let's see how John Hunter Nemechek is able to do on the outside as we head down toward turn 1.
So that's Austin Cindric and that purple and white 19 machine. He has led every lap so far. John Hunter Nemechek alongside of the 8. The green back out.
Go. It's like a nice launch by John Hunter.
That's Noah Gregson trying to get that second spot from Nemechek. Like John Hunter's going to hold it.
I think he had somebody out to his outside, and it had to be Gregson. Yep. It looks like he's got it. Great job by John Hunter to grab that second spot and hold on to it.
Back in the pack with Justin Haley in the 13th position. That's Ben Rhodes just ahead of him. And then Johnny Sauter, the defending series champ, in the blue and white 21.
This makes me a little nervous with a kid with a fast truck like this in this heavy traffic after a problem on pit road. You can be a little bit frustrated. Got to be careful here.
Right side.
Got to be a little frustrating, doesn't it, Chris, with Justin Haley and the way they've had to get back in the pack and do their racing?
And boy, Vince, you can hear it in his voice after that last little run when we went back to green. He just said, I can't pass anybody. So the track position they lost in pit lane, even though they're hoping that they might have a faster truck, the pace being better, the handling being better on that truck, he just can't get by anybody. This track, so tough to pass on.
Yeah, remember, they came to pit road from the 5th spot, and they had all kind of issues during their pit stop and went back out and restarted 19th. So he's picked up some of those positions up to 13th now, but now got another one, so he credit him with the 12th spot, but still long way from the front.
As we ride along with John Hunter Nemechek in his visor cam, you have to be perfect. You cannot make any mistakes here, whether it be on pit road, on the racetrack. You can't lock the tires up going into a corner. You have to be just about perfect. Justin Haley obviously has one of the best trucks here, and it's hard for him to pass. He's lost his track position right now.
Yeah, it's too late in the race now to make a mistake and come back and win. You just can't pass that many trucks. It's just too competitive.
Nice battle for third. That's Noah Gregson with the 3rd position. Ryan Truex in the 16, and Kaz Gralla, who runs second most of this race, certainly almost all of the first stage, now finds himself back in that 5th spot.
And we saw Kaz Gralla just as fast as Austin Cindric just about every single lap in the first 20 laps of stage number 1. They ran within a couple of tenths of a second just about every single lap. They were separated by less than a second at the end of that stage, but he lost these spots on that restart after stage 1 end, and he hasn't been able to get them back yet.
All 5, those top 5 drivers, all came into this race believing they were good enough to win this race today. And that's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out, because they're not going to be as patient at the end as we've seen them be so far.
And we talked about varying strategies. Our first 6 trucks have not been to pit road. Our 7th place runner, Matt Crafton, he's been there twice. So you can mix it up on pit road and make things happen. I think the adjustments that Junior Joyner and the team made on that bright yellow Menards Toyota are working. He's got a lot of pace right now.
And how about Chase Briscoe? Remember, he was mired back somewhere between 15th, as we see maybe Crafton lock up the right front a little bit. But Chase Briscoe right there with Matt Crafton up in the top 10 right now.
Yeah, maybe Tagliani's holding Crafton up a little bit, and because Crafton can't get around Tagliani, Briscoe has closed the gap on him.
Oh, and you can see Briscoe dives to the bottom. Great move by Chase.
Oh, Crafton's going to lose positions as Tagliani finally moves outside and Crafton gets inside of him.
That was costly for Crafton. He got hung behind Tagliani, and those other drivers dove to the bottom and took advantage of it.
Johnny Sauter, Ben Rhodes also got by Matt Crafton, as well as the 29 of Briscoe.
Yeah, I got to wonder if the 0-2 Tagliani's got a problem. It's not often on a road course he's holding people up.
I just don't think he's had the pace, Vince. He's got the experience and the talent. I just don't think he's had the speed to run up there in the top 10.
It's tough. He didn't even get in the truck until this weekend. Sat in it for the first time here on Friday. Austin Cindric continues to lead at Canada.
Get closer to the action like never before with NASCAR Race Hub on FS1.
Every night, the place to be.
Hear the story from the drivers who lived it.
That's how tough the track was to drive.
You get the ultimate setup from the legends of the sport.
You can't script it. There's certain things out of your control.
NASCAR Race Hub, weeknights at 6 Eastern on FS1.
Oh boy. Looking for adventure this Labor Day?
Holy smokes. Oh man, that's pretty intense.
Look no further than Chevrolet.
This is a fast car. I feel like I left my soul back there. Wow, this has power.
Head to the Chevy Labor Day sales event and ride out the summer in a new Chevrolet. Now use Labor Day bonus cash to get $4,000 total cash allowance on most Chevy Traverse models, or get 20% below MSRP on select 2017 Chevy models in stock. Find new roads at the Chevy Labor Day sales event.
Connect to nature. Connect to excitement. There is nothing like the great outdoors. Getting together with close friends, relaxing, and enjoying each other's company. So what are you waiting for? Get on the road today with Camping World. Now is your time to make new memories. America's #1 RV dealer can get you started with 2018 travel trailers for only $114 a month during the year-end savings event. Visit your local Camping World Supercenter or shop campingworld.com today.
Want to know who's going to be the next big thing? These guys have an idea.
3 and 4 wide, fighting for position.
He knew he was up against the best.
Got kids 12 and under? Come to any NASCAR Xfinity Series or NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race, and any kid under 12 gets in free. Get your tickets today.
Saturday on Fox, Nebraska looks to flex their Big Ten muscle and make their presence felt as the Cornhuskers battle Oregon in their thunderous crowd. Watch the speed! Then, Stanford is out to deliver a rude awakening. How about that? As they take on Heisman hopeful Sam Darnold and the Trojans in a primetime showdown. Touchdown Trojans! Nebraska versus Oregon at 4 Eastern. Stanford versus USC at 8:30. Saturday on Fox.
Well, during the commercial break, you've seen a lot of interesting developments. The 0-2 of Alex Tagliani came to pit road, then they couldn't get that truck fired. And now the leader, Austin Cindric, comes to pit road for the first time. And maybe an issue with one of the KBM trucks as well. Hermie?
The 19 of Austin Cindric, first time on pit road. His truck's been a little bit free. They're going to try to do it with air pressure. The left side is done. Now they're on the right side of the truck. A little bit slow on the right side. Then waiting on fuel. He's headed away. Chris.
And John Hunter Nemechek just finishing up his first stop here, saying his truck just having a difficult time getting off the slow speed corners, down in 5 and 10.
Like the gas man down on the ground. And the gas tank, the can was still attached to that 19. Watch it here as
Yeah, that's going to be a penalty. He's going to have to come back to pit road. You see the gas man doing all he could do to try to grab a hold of it, and that may be just enough to take him out of contention for this win.
What a tough break.
We talked about not making mistakes late in the race. This certainly will bring them back to pit road for removing equipment, but also, Phil, they surely needed to sit there and get that truck full of gas. It must have been a miscommunication. The truck was set down, and they needed to wait on the fuel. We saw other trucks doing that. So coming back to pit road is going to be a penalty. He'll have to put a little splash of gas in it too, I suspect.
Again, you have to be perfect. You cannot make any mistakes, especially we're halfway in this race here. It's going to be really hard to overcome the track position loss he's going to have.
Oh, what a tough break for Austin Cindric, who had led all the laps to that point. John Hunter Nemechek is going to be posted for penalty as well. Too fast exiting the pits. So two of our front runners, Austin Cindric, a penalty after the gas can did not get removed before he took off out of his pit box. And now the 8 of John Hunter Nemechek speeding, and here comes Cindric to serve his penalty.
Well, they were only running 1-2 when they came to pit road here, and both of them have to come back to pit road to serve the penalty.
And both of them have to be careful not to get a speeding penalty again while serving the penalty. There goes Cindric into his box.
Stop and go for removing equipment.
No additional fuel, so evidently they feel like they got it full.
Here's John Hunter Nemechek leaving pit lane after that speeding penalty.
Just a pass through for John Hunter Nemechek where Cindric had to do a stop and go.
And there's Christopher Bell. Let's go look at Bell. Did he have an issue?
We heard that he was smoking over on the other side of the racetrack, and he definitely is smoking over there, Hermie.
A right rear tire rub after contact on the racetrack. So the 4 also made an additional trip down pit road. No tires, but they did pull the fender away from the right rear tire. The 4 is back on the racetrack, but lost a lot of track position.
Yeah, it looked like maybe the 22 of Austin Wayne Self and maybe even the 98 of Grant Enfinger. There was some contact with both of those trucks for Christopher Bell in that 4. Bell, of course, a 4-time winner this season, leads the playoff standings.
What about strategy? Our running order is all mixed up right now. Up into the top 10, Jason Hathaway in the 10th position, DJ Kennington running 9th.
But the man out front, the 16 of Ryan Truex. Plenty of racing left to go. Well, another issue for the 24 of Justin Haley. They had a slow pit stop earlier and then just stalled trying to exit the pit box. So, well, we've seen some of the strongest trucks have issues today, Chris.
Vince, just watching this team, crew chief Kevin Bellicourt said no mistakes on the stop. It was just fuel, no tires, but Justin Haley stalling the truck as he left pit lane. And talking to him earlier today, he said, boy, these pit stops are so tough because first gear, it's so easy to stall on this pit lane here.
Yeah, we've seen Austin Cindric, who's had a dominant truck, with a pit lane penalty. We've seen John Hunter Nemechek, who has been running inside the top 5 almost the entire day, have a pit lane penalty. Justin Haley, who started on the front row, issues on pit road.
You know, Vince, you talk about strategy and running order mixed up. Austin Wayne Self up in 6th position, Kennington in 7th. These are some trucks. Gonzalez is currently running in the 9th position. But, Phil, I'm looking all the way back to the 11th, 12th positions there where Gralla, Bell, they're running 14th and 15th. They could be the trucks you're going to have to beat at the end of this day due to the fact that the differing strategy.
Well, Haley and now Sauter, who both are on pit road a lap ago, they're in that same scenario, and they're ahead of them right now.
And Matt Crafton back to pit lane again for the 3rd time today. Yeah, so those drivers, Mike, that you mentioned are guys that pitted late enough in this race that they can definitely get to the end with the amount of fuel that they have on their truck.
Yeah, without a doubt. But right now, Todd Gilliland is actually Parker Kligerman running 9th, is the first truck that pitted after or right around halfway where we think these guys have enough to do it.
Of course, the big story, one of the big stories today is the fact that only 1 to go after this one here before the playoffs begin. So the playoff standings so important. And Ryan Truex, you see there, he's the leader of the race, still trying to point his way in and put him in that position, thinking that as the leader now, it could possibly be a winner, and that would put him in the playoffs. Briscoe in safely with points at 93 to the good. then Rhodes at 28, and then there's a whole lot of guys hoping something big happens.
Yeah, Truex pitted on lap 22. I don't think there's any way that he can go the rest of the way, Vince. We know a lot of these guys can. Most of these trucks we're looking at right now can go the rest of the way. Truex will have to come back to pit road.
Absolutely, and there's 2 to go in this stage, so that means the pits are closed.
Christopher Bell running along behind Matt Crafton. Kaz Grala just ahead of these trucks. It's all going to come clear after this stage break. Some guys will come to pit road here, and I think the contenders to win this race will stay on the racetrack. We'll get the fastest trucks cycled back to the front.
Do not let them pass you.
That's right. It's time to fight. Got to hold everyone off. Is that still a little bit of smoke off the four trucks right rear fender?
A little bit of a tire rub still may be lingering.
Remember the 4 of Bell had a little contact with the 22 of Austin Wayne Self.
This will be the opportunity for Austin Cindric to gain back some of the track positioning. He's behind a lot of trucks right now, but he will gain back some of that track position. Right now he is 53 seconds behind our leader, and he's about 15 seconds behind Matt Crafton right there, who runs in the 12th spot.
And it's not impossible to win a race with a penalty. I mean, John Hunter Nemechek won this race with a penalty last year, but he got his penalty on lap 9. When you get the penalty, it goes a long way in determining what that does to your chances to ultimately win the race.
Yeah, it certainly does. And we know Austin Cindric has probably the best truck, certainly if not the best truck, one of the 2 or 3 best trucks, but passing all these other trucks that are pretty darn good too is going to be difficult.
The last time by, Phil, Austin Cindric, 0.4 of a second faster than the field. So certainly has the speed to get the job done. Be interesting to see if he has the fuel. When he stopped and they didn't put that gas can back in, I don't think you're allowed to put gas in when you're serving a penalty. That would explain that. Does that truck have enough gas, even if he can make up the distance?
Well, he's going to get these 2 or 3 caution laps here at the end of the stage as we watch our leader, Ryan Truex. So he will be able to gain those couple 3 laps.
Ryan Truex, as mentioned, he's going to have to come to pit road again for fuel, but he is on his way to his 2nd stage win of the season.
And just don't forget Chase Briscoe. We talked about this wasn't his forte.
Wasn't his wheelhouse. Wasn't anywhere near his wheelhouse. That's him running 2nd, by the way.
And he's the kind of guy that can do that anywhere we go. He just continues to show us so much talent, so much ability, and this is another great example of it.
Going through turns 9 and 10. There's a look at Briscoe in that 2nd position. Ben Rhodes in 3rd. They're chasing Ryan Truex as Truex is going to come through and take the green and white checkers, and does, as the stage 2 winner, Ryan Truex.
How about Chase Briscoe? They're trying to solidify his spot in the points. We know at least one of our drivers is going to point his way into the playoffs. He's in pretty good shape right now.
2 stages down, the final stage coming up from Canada. Back at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, the only road course race of the season for this series, and it has been a good one so far, and the strategy is playing out, and it leads us to the 3rd and final stage, and it's a problem for Matt Crafton. Never a good sign when they got the hood up.
Yeah, under the bonnet, and hearing an engine issue, and you can see the Triad engine development gentleman there in the white suit looking over what's happening there. And
Ryan Truex did it. He won stage 2, and there's the points that have been accumulated through the first 2 stages today. Austin Cindric won stage 1. Ryan Truex winning stage 2.
See Grant Enfinger there with 7 points so far. Let's see if we can talk with Grant. Hey, Grant Enfinger, Phil Parsons and the guys up in the Fox booth. You got a copy? Grant Enfinger, can you hear me over there on that side of the racetrack?
I got you, Phil.
Great job, buddy, getting those stage points. You're not noted to be a road course racer, but you're doing a great job today, buddy.
I'm trying, but we got a lot of better champion power equipment, Sandra, than what I'm showing. Just trying to get this track figured out, man. Definitely got a long ways to go, but these guys are behind me, and we'll get it figured out.
All right, buddy, you're going to have to come to pit road here?
Yes, sir.
All right, make the most of it, man. Good job so far.
Thanks, guys.
It's so cool to be able just to check in with him. You coming pit road, buddy? Crew chief's thinking, okay, Phil, wrap her up, buddy. I got to talk to my man here. We got to make some adjustments. And here he comes to pit road.
And Ryan Truex leads the charge down pit road, the stage 2 winner, and Chris Neville will be there.
And Vince right above that cut line for the playoffs. Max points in stage 2 is exactly what Ryan Truex wanted. Just checking in with Scott Zimbatelli, the crew chief. He said the truck just sliding a little bit too much. Ryan saying he can't be aggressive with the wheel. If he is, the truck just gets away from him. So he's going to make a few small air pressure adjustments on this stop. Hurry.
The 27 of Ben Rose, they had planned to pit a little bit sooner, but they are watching the points. They had to do what the 16 and the 98 did. They liked the truck. It'll be 4 tires, fuel, no adjustment for Ben Rose.
Look at the pit crew guys celebrating. They knew they got their work done. Well done.
Another truck on pit road is a 19 of Austin Cindric. Tires on that truck, nothing to lose, running in the back. He has the fastest truck in town. Put some fresh tires on that thing. We talked about that you can't overcome a mistake this late in the race and still win. He's going to figure out if that's the truth or not, because he's got a real shot to do it.
I thought it's interesting on the report in regards to Ben Rhodes was going to pit earlier, but he's got to watch what the other guys he's fighting for the playoff positions are doing.
Exactly right. Two different races going on here today.
Stage 3 when we come back. Getting ready for the third and final stage, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
We've had a lot of activity, haven't we?
We have.
On board with Chase Briscoe. What a good run he's had today. Just came to pit lane as we take a look at our Ford facts.
10 wins here in the road course. We know that right now we only run Motorsport. That's the only time that we run a road course here in the Truck Series, but there's been a number of different road courses that we've run over the years. Topeka, Kansas we've run. Sonoma we've run before. Watkins Glen, the Truck Series has visited.
Of course, Ryan Blaney, the last Ford winner here at this racetrack, running for Brad Keselowski. That was, you saw there back in 2014. Hey, tonight it's a special night of college football on Fox. You want to make sure and check it out. Great matchup. The SEC taking on the Pac-12. Josh Rosen and the Bruins. Welcome Texas A&M to the Rose Bowl. UCLA and A&M college football kicking off tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern on Fox.
Got a lot of friends that are happy that it's college football season. Get a little football with their NASCAR on a Saturday. That's a good day. What about this restart lineup? We talked about the prowess on the road course of Parker Kligerman. He's up there. Todd Gilliland has been steady and strong all day. And Christopher Bell and Kaz Gralla. I'm really watching Road 2, Phil. That seems to be 2 of the fastest trucks that are near the front.
It's been a tough go for that 19 truck after dominating early, Hermie.
Well, let's hear from the crew chief. Fastest truck at the racetrack this weekend. You're back in traffic, but you've got 4 tires. Do you have enough truck and time to get back to the front?
Well, I feel like we got enough truck, enough driver, just a matter of getting through here without any more incidents. We didn't execute as we should have on the pit stop. Now it's up to Austin, and we got our faith in him.
Well, there it is. That's Doug Randolph. He's a crew chief for the 19.
Well, and he has to come from the 16th position. Austin Cindric, he's led 31 laps today.
Couple of cautions, though, Vince, and with the speed of that 19 truck, I wouldn't put it out of the question.
So that's Parker Kligerman in the black and white and blue truck, the 75, and Todd Gilliland in the bright yellow 51. Gilliland just 17 years old, and we're green.
Gralla with a nice start on the inside, pushing Kligerman out front.
Kaz would love to grab that second spot away from Todd Gilliland. Maybe he's going for the lead.
Kligerman slipped up, and Gralla pounced, and there's Kaz Gralla going to the point.
We saw how fast that truck was early in the race. Stayed right with Austin Cindric. Now he's got the lead.
And look at Haley in the 24 bumping the 51 of Gilliland out of the way.
You have to make it happen on these restarts. Right now, Kaz and Haley have.
Oh, Parker Kligerman in that 75 truck. It just slipped a bit going through 1, and Kaz Gralla was all over him.
Now you got to execute through 5. This is a very tight part of the racetrack. If you stumble off 5, you will pay for it down the back straightaway. Need a perfect corner here. You see Johnny Sauter diving inside of Todd Gilliland.
A lot of bumping and grinding back there in the pack. Everybody fighting for position. It's tough to pass, and you got to get your spot when you can. On board with Nemechek, and that's Gilliland behind him.
Oh, he missed. Somebody missed.
Somebody blew up.
Yeah, it's the 4 of Christopher Bell.
He's blowed up, boys. Sorry.
The championship playoff points leader, but if there's anybody that could afford that, it was Bell, already with 4 wins this season.
Yeah, tough break, though. Was in a great spot, great position here late in the race.
And the caution is out for Christopher Bell.
Here we're hearing there's oil all the way up the backstretch, but this is going to be a big break for people like Kaz Grala and those guys that pitted back around halfway. Be able to save a little bit more fuel as Christopher Bell brings his Toyota back to pit road. And Kaz,
You missed a shift or all that good? Yep, 1 second again. Sorry.
Yeah, I saw that puff of smoke. I said someone must have missed a shift. The puff of smoke was probably the initial missing of a gear. He tried to go from third to fourth. He went from third to second. We saw that at Pocono with some of the Cup guys. It's really tricky to make sure you do that perfectly. Easy to make a mistake there.
Bell had an opportunity to clinch the regular season points today. Won't do it because of that issue. But here's the restart. Parker Kligerman there in that black truck on the left. And watch as he goes through one. He slips up a bit, and the 33 truck of Kaz Grala in the green and white jumps inside of him and closes the door. Great restart from Grala.
and a great veteran move by that 18-year-old Kaz Grala.
And look, not only does he make the move and put himself in a position, but he's able to close the deal, swinging around the outside, going up to turn 5 and holding Kligerman off. How about an update on Austin Cindric? We talked about restarting in the 16th position, Vince, inside the top 10 in less than a lap. Well, Cindric now inside the top 10 becomes a real player.
And on the restarts, when you can gain positions easiest, you might need another yellow or two, and boom, he might be right back up there in position. That's the best way, right?
Without a doubt, we know he has a fast truck. He and the 33 were very, very fast early on for that first 20-lap segment.
And another truck that's really fast, and you'll need to watch on this restart, is the 24 of Justin Haley. He's going to start right behind Grala down on the bottom. That means Kligerman will be up on the outside. Maybe Haley's able to pounce, grab the second spot, and put some heat on Kaz Grala.
Now let's take a look at what happened with the 4 here, looking at from the 29 of Chase Briscoe.
Whoa.
Wow.
So Briscoe, some significant contact.
You heard John Hunter Nemechek actually hit the rev limiter.
It's not like he missed a shift.
He may have missed a gear as well.
But that missing a shift is one thing. You hit the rev limiter. But when you go from third to second, it just immediately overturns the engine's RPMs and blows it up.
Yeah, these engines have rev limiters, but they can't catch it that quick when you go from third to second like that.
And watch the 18 of Noah Gragson. He had to narrowly avoid Bell when Bell had to get out of the gas, obviously, with the engine issue. And if you don't have a warning and you're right on the tailgate of one of those trucks that's having a problem, then you could get caught up in it as well. And looks like finally the day coming to an end for the 88 of Matt Crafton as well.
He's going to pull over. He's not going to be able to make it back. He's at the top of that. I think he's over in turn 5 right now, isn't he?
Under caution for the 4th time today. Crafton is done, and so is Christopher Bell. Briscoe with contact. Back at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, it is getting down to the nitty-gritty for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. You just saw the 88 go to the garage. He's done for the day, as is the 4 of Christopher Bell. When we go back racing on this restart, it'll be Kaz Grala and Parker Kligerman at the start. Now, the 19 of Austin Cindric, who had the dominant truck early, then they had a pit lane penalty. On that most recent restart, he started 16th. Now, watch how he gains positions. We'll show you this replay because now he is in the 9th spot. So there's Cindric inside the circle, and watch as we go on the restart, him grab these positions.
Just working the low side of the racetrack, Vince, a couple of spots there, then swings to the high side. Just going where they aren't with a really fast truck and taking advantage of having the experience of knowing how to dive into those corners so deeply.
Those are some really good trucks he got by. He got by Ryan Truex, Ben Rhodes, Grant Enfinger, all on that first lap after that restart, first half lap.
Man, they believe he's got the truck fast enough to win. As you heard crew chief Doug Randolph say, they've got the truck and they've got the driver. Just the only question is, do they have the time? Are there enough laps for Cindric to get back to the front? Of course, road racing, he's done a lot of that coming up through the ranks. And in fact, he's going to make his global rallycross debut next week in Seattle. running for Brian Herta Rally Sport. So Cindric's one of those kids, he'll jump in anything and go racing, and I like that.
And does a pretty good job in it, too.
If you look at the trucks right ahead of him, Brian Wong in the 99 is 8th, and Todd Gilliland is 7th in the 51. We've seen Cindric have a lot more speed than those two trucks, Vince. But once you get up there to 6, John Hunter Nemechek, Johnny Sauter, Gregson, the road is going to get much tougher for that young man.
Well, and Gregson, who is in 4th, has to win. The 24 and 3rd, Haley, has to win. Those are guys aren't going to give up those positions easily, that's for sure. Chris?
And Vince, on this next restart, definitely keep an eye on that black and yellow 24 truck. Justin Haley on that last one moved Todd Gilliland over here, coming down into turn 3. He makes a little move here to the inside, pushes Todd Gilliland out of the way, and talking with Justin Haley and his crew chief, Kevin Bellecourt, before the race. Kevin said, hey, at the end of this race, you better be aggressive. You better be willing to push trucks out of the way. If you aren't, the drive to the airport after the race, I'm probably going to push you out of the way.
Well, that's how important it is. They got to win to get in. Talking about the playoffs that start up in just a few weeks. When we come back, the restart at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Double file getting ready for the restart here with 15 to go. Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. That's Kaz Grala in the green machine, the leader, and Parker Kligerman in the black 75. Justin Haley and Noah Gregson behind him in row 2.
Green flag. Nice launch by Kaz. He's able to get a good jump on Kligerman. Kligerman's trying to hang on the outside. But it's going to open the door for Haley on the bottom, and this is a fast 24 truck.
Boy, Justin Haley has worked his way back up and now is going to have a shot. Remember, Kaz Grala has won already this season. Haley has not. Haley needs to win to get into the playoffs, and just one more race after today. Haley thought this was his chance. Look at that. Not enough room. Somebody's going to get squeezed, and it was Nemechek that got bumped out, and Noah Gregson moved his way in. Wow.
There's Austin Cindric on the right side of Nemechek.
How about that move from Noah Gregson getting on the inside and just bumping his way, and now Cindric is going to get inside of Gilliland for position. Ben Rhodes taking advantage of Gilliland as well.
Are we going to put Cindric in the top 5 in just a half a lap, Bill?
Unbelievable.
What a move up through the S's into turn 5.
But how about that move by Noah Gregson, making it 4 wide and getting by all those trucks?
So there's your leader, Kaz Grala.
And there's 5th place running Austin Cindric. Watch this mess. What a move to
into
the
grass.
Parker Kligerman on the outside of 4 wide here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
Watch from Nemechek's view.
Nemechek in the middle of 3 wide. Oh, by the way, there's one to the right of you. There's 2 over there, John Hunter. They made it work.
Wow, Gregson had his right side tires in the grass going through that corner to squeeze inside of Sauter.
And Austin Cindric all the way up to the 5th spot.
Less than 15 to go. Remember, 2.5 miles around this place. There's a lot of racing. Just you see at 14 laps left, but at 14 laps at 2.5 miles around, that's a long way to go and a lot of racing left.
Yeah, it sure is here. But I'm telling you, the move that Noah Gregson made may be the move of the year to me. Made it 4 wide and made it stick and got by all those trucks. Has that 3rd spot right now.
And you can see both sides of the 8 truck of John Hunter Nemechek are damaged. He was the meat in the sandwich when they went to turn 5.
One of the meat in the sandwich.
It was a double-decker, I think.
It was a double.
Oh, spinner.
That's Cody Coughlin, the 13 that's gone around. Coughlin going to be able to get it started and going again, or is he stuck in the mud there with the grass? It's so wet.
Remember all the rain we had this morning. I'm surprised we could move on. I tell you, as a kid, Kaz Grala, no matter how much road race experience he has, he does not want to see these restarts. You just subject yourself to getting punted out of the way, and we're getting ready to have one.
By the way, Austin Cindric has made his way by Johnny Sauter to move up to the 4th spot.
And it looks like there's the caution. It looks like right now, to me, Phil, the 18 of Gregson is faster than Haley. He was really heating just it up when the caution fell.
So that's the reason for the yellow with the 13 coming to a stop. But we're going to see Austin Cindric on this restart start from the second row, and we've seen guys go from the second row on a restart to the lead here today. So Cindric is right back there in the mix. Matter of fact, is Gralla or Haley or Gregson going to be able to hold him off? I think that's the story right now, because Cindric seems like he has had the truck to beat.
Well, remember, he restarted 16th after the end of the second stage, and here he is right now in the 4th spot.
Bumping and grinding in front of Coughlin. So Coughlin, you saw him get off track there with the left side tires, and eventually just brings it to a stop and then stuck in the grass.
Yeah, we had a lot of rain here overnight and this morning as well, and he just got in the mud there and couldn't get out.
Great crowd on hand at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Going to see a great finish as well. Well, it's getting down to the nitty-gritty. Time for, I was going to say time for guys to start moving guys out of the way. But we've already been seeing that. So we've seen that, and just 4 wide through the grass just a few moments ago by that driver right there, the driver of the 18, Noah Gragson. Now, look at the playoff standings below the red line. These are the drivers, and Gregson, Cindric, and Haley right now are in the 2 through 4 positions, and that's why it's so important for them to win this race today to get into the playoffs, because they're not in all likelihood going to point their way into the playoffs. They got to win to get in.
And that's why you saw Noah Gregson go 4 wide into that corner. He knows he's got to make up spots. He knows he needs to win this race if he's going to be in the playoffs. The only problem with that is, Vince, when kids start to pushing and shoving, veterans start to pushing them back and causing issues.
Well, let's check in with some of the crew chiefs. Chris?
Well, Vince, it's definitely been a tough day for Justin Haley on pit lane, but he's got a good race truck right now. And Kevin, your driver is around 2 other drivers that need a win. How tough is this going to get?
It's going to get aggressive, for sure. We're on older tires, for sure. Cindric's sitting in a catbird seat. Him and Kaz are in a good spot, but I do believe I have the best driver in this situation, so it's going to be fun. Who wants it more right now, to be honest with you? That's what it's going to be all about, and I think Justin will. Good luck.
Permit. Well, Jerry Baxter is the crew chief of Kaz Gralla. You guys are up front. You've been having a discussion about fuel. We got a new potential overtime rule now, unlimited attempts. How does that affect your fuel mounting situation?
Well, the thing is first off, the Stealth Chevy's badass today, I got to tell you. But when we pitted, we knew we could make it right to the end, but this overtime rule has definitely got to be concerned, and that's why I'm just beating him to get save fuel. Right now, we're probably 4 laps to the good, so that's a positive, but we'll see.
It's Jerry Baxter going to re-rack him with about 10 to go.
The Stealth Chevy hopes to make itself stealth and just drive away from the field. But, Phil, you know these races. Heck, we've seen it all 4 years. It comes down to the very last lap. And I would love to be in Kaz's position, but looking in that mirror and seeing how hungry those drivers are behind him, their season could depend on winning this race today to make the playoffs. Kaz is certainly vulnerable.
And remember that truck right behind him, that 24 of Justin Haley, who will start beside him, is a teammate at GMS. So it's not a situation where he wants to use him up.
I think you throw that teammate thing out the window.
Maybe so. I'm with you, Vince. I think that's out the window.
Well, that's why we're under caution right there as they clean up the damage from the 13. We'll restart when we come back.
Hurry, it's the final days of the Ford Summer Sales Event.
It's gonna work. I promise you. We can figure this out.
A little help?
Hold on, Mom. No, Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi. It's not a question. It's a thing.
Take on summer right with Ford, America's best-selling brand. Time is running out for summer's hottest offer. Get 0% for 72 months plus an additional $1,000 on top of your trade-in. That's 0% for 72 months plus $1,000 on top of what your trade-in is worth. Hurry, the Ford Summer Sales Event and this deal ends September 5th.
Real meal for $5. 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 Finger licking, finger licking, finger licking.
Every lap timed to 100th of a second. Every gallon measured down to the last drop. Every tire holding till its last tread. Each moment building with pressure. But no matter the precision put into a car or a race, the path to victory is through total chaos.
Unbelievable.
The end of the week. Work is over, school is out, and and the wild ones come out to play.
The green flag is out.
Pups get a chance to dance with the big dogs.
They're going at it.
Roars from engines compete with roars of fans. And the stadium lights become a spotlight for water. It's truck season, America.
Start your Sunday with Fox NFL Kickoff, followed by Fox NFL Sunday.
The place is going to be rocking.
Then, let the show begin as Carson Wentz leads the Eagles against Kirk Cousins and the Redskins.
He's got it for the touchdown.
Then, it's America's Game of the Week as Russell Wilson and the Seahawks battle Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. It all begins next week at 11 Eastern, and don't miss a huge doubleheader on Fox.
Got kids 12 and under? Come to any NASCAR Xfinity Series or NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race, and any kid under 12 gets in free. Get your tickets today.
What a beautiful scene. This place is something special. Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. So much history and great racing here, and we're about to see some more of it. We've seen plenty today. Going to be less than 10 to go when we restart as we check in with our Liberty Mutual spotter coverage. Let's see if we can hear something from the 19.
Copy, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. You hear encouragement's what you hear. Go get them, buddy. You're the man. We let you down on pit road. Go get it back for us.
And that was Austin Cindric, and if you're just joining us, he dominated the early stages of this race, led 31 laps from the pole, but then they had a pit lane penalty when the gas can got stuck on a pit stop, had to come back in for a stop-and-go penalty, restarted 16th back on lap 45, and that was 9 laps ago, and he has gotten himself all the way back up to the 4th position.
Remember, he has the freshest tires of anybody right now in the top 5. He has 11 laps fresher tires right now than Kaz Grala does.
9 to go when you get the green. You have 10 green flag laps, better tires than everybody in front of you.
That's Doug Randolph, the crew chief, talking to Austin Cindric in that 19 truck.
And how about clean down, get ready, 9 to go.
How about the first 2 rows, all teenagers, battling for a win here in Canada? What an awesome sight.
Yeah, and 3 of those 4 battling for their first ever win. Only one with a victory is Kaz Grala, that young man that will lead from the point in that green number 33. Justin Haley in the 24.
Be ready.
9 to go.
Great launch by Grala. Grabs the advantage. He's going to be able to swing wide into turn 1.
Boy, Gregson with a good start, too, from that spot right behind Grala. Gets the 2nd position, and Haley slots into 3rd. Cindric lost a spot. Johnny Sauter slipped in there in front of him.
Great start by Johnny Sauter, but he's holding up. Looks like he's holding up Austin Cindric for just a moment here.
Watch Gregson. We saw how aggressive he was on the last restart, diving to the bottom.
John Hunter Nemechek inside of Cindric, but Cindric holds him off for position.
That 19 truck sure is strong.
Does Cindric have enough laps to get to the point? Can Kaz Grala hold him off?
Look at Cindric go inside of Johnny Sauter.
Cindric charges for position, gets inside, has the 4th spot.
How's everybody? We're about 2 to the 21, coming to you.
I don't have a horse in this race, and I'm as nervous as I've ever been. I mean, these kids up here, I know what's on the line. I know what they're fighting for, and this is just so intense. Look at Gregson close at the end of the back straightaway.
And certainly Gregson knows that Kaz Grala is already in the playoffs. He won the opener at Daytona. Noah Gregson said, if I knock him out, I'm not knocking him out of the playoffs. Is there going to be contact right here? No, almost.
Gregson got into him in just a little bit, but Grala was able to control it. All 4, the top 4, teenagers. Grala, 18 years old. Gregson, 19 years old. Cindric, 19 years old. Haley, 18 years old. Cindric has gotten around Haley now for the 3rd spot.
I think that's going to up the enthusiasm and the energy from the Gregson truck. Looking in his mirror, seeing Cindric coming, knowing how fast that truck is. He's going to have to get around Grala with any hope to win this race. Yeah. Nice turn by Kaz. He's able to gap the 18 truck.
And I'm sure they're letting Kaz know that 19 truck is coming. Austin Cindric, they've already told him he has 10 lap fresher tires than Kaz does.
Well, look at Cindric close the gap on that 18 of Gregson. Well, if you're Gregson here, you're driving out the front windshield or the rear view mirror?
Well, right now, front windshield, he's got to be concerned about winning. It doesn't, if he loses another spot to Austin Cindric, it doesn't matter. He's got to get the win.
Make you a bit nervous, though, knowing that Cindric is stalking you for sure.
Oh, yeah, he's been the story this weekend, and he's in a good spot right now with those fresher tires.
Run for your exit there. He guards bottom right here. Go get him.
Here's where Gregson took a look earlier. Can't get to the bumper this time, though.
This is a place in the race, Phil, where I think if you're Grala, maybe you give a little bit up on entry. Let them dive down near you on entry so you can jet off the corner and gap them on exit. I think that's what we saw there into turn 10.
Easy in, hard off.
Through turn 2, headed toward turn 3.
These are going to be the 7 longest laps of Kaz Grala's career, just fighting to hold off these 2 Chargers behind him.
See him open up a little bit of a gap over Gregson right now. He's got just a little bit of breathing room.
And you know, it's important for Grala. He's in the playoffs, but this team has been struggling. We talked about that. It's important for him to get the momentum when we head toward playoff time, and a victory here would do just that.
And give him another 5 playoff points, which will be huge.
And fire up those boys on pit road. Get that team behind you. Build some momentum. Those 2 behind him don't want to hear any of that, though. They have the same plan, the same desires, the same goals.
All 3 covered by just over a second as Cindric closes the gap on that 18 truck of Noah Gregson for second place.
What about these teenagers, though, Vince? All 3 of these guys told us they could win this race. They would be in a position to win it late, and here they are fighting for it.
Gregson got out of shape.
Remember, we talked about the average age of the winners here at this racetrack in 4 tries, 18.75. So these guys are just where they need to be.
Yeah, we've got 2 18-year-olds and a 19-year-old running 1, 2, 3. I think we're right there.
By 1 day, the 19-year-old by 1 day.
Austin Cindric in that 19 truck celebrated his 19th birthday yesterday by breaking the track record and winning pole, and today he's trying to win his first race, as is that driver in front of him, Noah Gregson.
How about if they tell you to be perfect at Charlotte or Michigan or some 1.5 mile, 2 mile track? You got 2 ends to negotiate. I can probably handle that. You've got to be perfect here on 10 different corners. That's what these kids are faced with.
That was a good turn 5 for Noah Gregson right there. We saw how good Austin Cindric was. He was able to get by Johnny Sauter in turn 5. Good turn 5 for Noah Gregson, but Cindric's right there.
Cindric looking for his opportunity to pounce and grab that second place position.
There's that draft we were talking about, Mike, but Noah Gregson's going to kind of block the inside of the racetrack on him.
But Cindric hangs tough. Last time by, Cindric by a couple of tenths of a second was faster than our leader, Kaz Grala. Oh, he's going to get into Gregson.
He does. Camping World 5 to go as the battle for second side by side. Cindric's going to get it.
He needs to get gone now.
Because you could tell Gregson didn't much care for the way he got it.
Gave him a little door shot there as they went down in turn number 1.
What will he do when they get up to turn 5? That's where he was so fast earlier, able to dive in, make them 4 wide. Can he hang close enough to try to pull that move off again?
What's the latest, Hermie?
Marcus Richmond is the crew chief for the 18 of Noah Gregson. He's actually watching the race from the grandstands going down in turn 1. Once the 19 got beside the 18, he said, let him go. He will go catch the 33. They will race each other, maybe wreck. We have a better shot to win that way right now than running down the 33. We'll see if he had a crystal ball he was looking at.
What a veteran crew chief move that is. I love that. Don't hold up that guy. Let him go up there and rattle the leader's cage. Maybe we'll get lucky. He wasn't going to hold off Cindric. Cindric had too much speed and too fresh of tires.
John Hunter Nemechek, you see the significant damage. This is why. Watch. Going into turn 1.
We just got a little bit loose.
So much damage to that truck, Phil. And then you see he gets into the outside wall, but his front end was tore all to pieces before that.
The final 5 laps of the race. And it's Kaz Grala right there, the leader, trying to win for the second time. He won the season opener at Daytona. but he's got to hold off Austin Cindric, who has had the fastest truck all weekend long, and Cindric is on the charge, and it is everything to Cindric. He's got to win to get into the playoffs, and this is his best chance to do it.
Cindric was a little bit quicker that last lap, even with a pass.
Come back, follow in front of you there. Nice work. Good corner. Still good corner.
Love the spotters. They're telling those drivers everything they need to hear so they can go grab the prize. That draft is really picking up right there, Phil. The 19 of Cindric is close enough to gain speed on the back straightaway off the back of the 33 truck.
Did that put the leader at a disadvantage in that situation, Mike?
Well, it certainly gives him a chance to gain some ground, but when you're the leader and you can look at your line and pick out your corner entry, that's a bit of an advantage. But I would rather be on the fresher tires chasing like Cindric is right now than being Gralla out front defending.
Total focus. Three to go.
You heard the call. 3 laps remaining. Kaz Gralla trying to hold off Austin Cindric around this 10-turn course.
And he has to be perfect, Vince. He has to be absolutely perfect because, as Michael said, fresher tires on that 19.
Look at the interval up above, shrinking. He's able to just really close it down.
About a second difference just inside of it. Watch when they go on that long Mario Andretti straightaway along the backside of this course where they can pick up the draft, and we'll see if Cindric is able to really close the gap on Kaz Gralla.
Nice work.
We saw Cindric gain on Gregson. That's how he was able to catch Gregson when they got down to turn 8.
And here's that straightaway that we were talking about.
Noticeable gain right there, it looks like.
Under 8/10 of a second.
Well, Gralla doing a great job holding off Austin Cindric. Can he do it for a couple of more laps? When they come by the line this time, there will be 2 to go as they go through turn 9.
Setting them up, you're gonna drive by them.
And now turn 10. Cindric closes.
Oh, look how close he is now.
Like a little bit of a fumble there. Off the last corner by Cindric. 2 to go.
4/10 of a second better that lap for Austin Cindric.
Gralla cannot afford a mistake. Nor can Cindric, because if Cindric has a bobble and loses significant ground, that could be just enough to give Gralla the distance he needs to protect the lead.
I think Cindric's going to get there.
Saw a tire slip there by Kaz Gralla. That's Kaz's mother, watching closely, cheering her son on.
Well, the nerves that she must be experiencing and feeling.
Well, we're nervous up here. Can you imagine how Karen feels?
Cindric right up to the backside.
Here you go, bud. You keep the heat on him. Nice corner.
Oh, good corner by Gralla, too. He's able to gap Cindric just a bit.
Great exit by Kaz on that corner.
There's Karen Gralla. She's in tears watching her son try to hold off birthday boy Austin Cindric.
Under the Canadian Tire Bridge, prayers and all for her son Kaz Gralla in that 33. Can he hold off Austin Cindric? They go through 9, and then here comes turn 10. Then it'll be to the start-finish line where they'll get the white flag for 1 lap to go. 1 remaining.
5 years in a row, we've sweated this thing out to 1 to go to see who's going to win. Who will come back and grab the checker?
Turn 1 on this 10-turn course.
Both these young men deserve it. It's a shame we can only have 1 winner. Kaz was a little bit wide there.
Remember, Cindric has to win to secure a spot in the playoffs. Looks inside. A little bit of contact possibly, but Gralla holding him off. They look so close. I'm not sure if they touched or not, but Gralla keeps the lead.
I don't see any way there isn't contact between these 2 trucks.
Going to be right here too, Michael.
And there is the bump.
Oh, and he spun him out.
And he spins.
You got it. Go. You're all clear. Coming to you guys. We got in the 33 just a little bit back there.
Austin Cindric with the big bump on Kaz Gralla pushes Gralla around, and Austin Cindric is going to come around for the victory.
That's the world we live in nowadays, guys. You can get your bumper to the guy in front of you, you're going to put it to him.
Great job.
He won the pole yesterday in record fashion, celebrating his 19th birthday, and today, Austin Cindric wins at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.
Doug Randolph said. Yeah, I don't think the flagman had the checker flag in his hand, even though we've completed 64 laps. Austin's not going to take any chances.
Yeah, he's waving the checkers now, waving the checkers for sure.
I believe if I was Austin, I'd keep going anyway. Kaz is liable to be upset about getting spun out.
And he has reason to be, or not?
I mean, it's like I said, Vince. That's a difficult question to answer. I think that there's bumps that you can stomach as a leader and understand that that's just the way you're going to race, and you race that guy back the other way. And there's sometimes when you just get wiped out, and that's a little bit harder to take. We saw a great finish in the Xfinity race on the road course last week. Kaz very maturely just drives by.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I mean, that was the bump and run. That's what you call that. And I guarantee you, Austin Cindric didn't want Kaz Grala to spin out, but he certainly meant to knock him out of the way.
Yeah, without a doubt, that was, use that front bumper.
And here it is. Grala in the lead, and Cindric.
I think he felt like he only had 2 opportunities, Michael. I felt like turn 5 or turn 10. I think that was probably his only 2 opportunities to get that bumper to Kaz.
And I think Kaz made sure that he didn't overshoot the corner, and that gave Cindric a chance to knock him in the tailgate.
See Noah Gregson go by. Noah will end up finishing second. Kaz will hang on to third.
Well, that's a tough way to lose a race, that's for sure, but we've seen it year after year here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. I mean, that's the way the races have ended, with contact before the checkered flag.
Amazing drive though from that penalty. Restarted 16th on lap 42 or
45, lap 45.
Yeah. He was just perfect, Phil. He made the right moves at the right time to put himself in a position to grab the checkered flag. I didn't think he could overcome that much of a distance that late in the race, but I love the move that Doug Randolph, the crew chief, made, putting those 4 tires on after they had the penalty. That could be the key to this victory.
The 10th career win for Brad Keselowski Racing, and the crew chief is with Hermie.
What a roller coaster day it's been for you and your race team. Your emotions about the job your driver did coming down the stretch.
Man, he did an incredible job today. We didn't do our job on pit road, didn't execute, and team's been through a lot for sure, but Austin put this team on his back today and carried them to victory lanes. Any
comment, or he said himself he did not want to do what he had to do there on the last lap with the 33, so your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I hate that happened. We put him in a position where he was behind all day and trying to catch up, and just hate it, for everybody on the 33, and proud of all my guys.
That's Doug Randolph there, going to victory lane and racing for a championship, Chris.
Well, Kaz Grala was half a lap away from getting his second win on the season. Kaz, was that a bump and run, or was that a dump and run?
That was a dump and run. To be honest, I know he's racing for a playoff spot, and I get that, but, I mean, he didn't try to pass us even. He just got to us and ran us over. Last year, you can say what you want about the finish, but you know what? They finished 1-2. They were both going in the right direction. I mean, I don't think he even braked for turn 5. So, honestly, I know he's a great road course racer, and I had a lot of respect for that, but I lost some right there because I wouldn't race someone like that. I'd move them out of the way, especially with as much on the line as he had, but that was too dirty of a move. I can't get behind that at all.
Thanks, Kaz.
Frustration and celebration. Austin Cindric celebrating the win today. Back at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and with the Austin Cindric win today, oh, how that has tightened up the playoff picture as we go to the regular season finale in a couple of weeks in Chicago. With Cindric's win, he is now in, and Chase Briscoe, with a 75-point advantage to the line, has clinched his playoff spot as well. So that only leaves one position remaining available, and look at that, Ben Rhodes and Ryan Truex 7-point difference heading to the regular season finale at Chicago. Downstairs to Chris Neville.
Yeah, Noah Gragson gets his best finish of the year, but Noah, you needed to win. See some frustration on your face. Is that because you didn't get the win or the contact with Austin Cindric?
It's just hard racing. I used my truck up there, just a bummer. I really wanted to win this race, and I gave it all I could, just unacceptable on my part. I mean, I was in a position where I had to win, and I didn't get the job done. So my guys, they put a really good Toyota Tundra under me, and just really bummed out. I want to thank Switch, everyone from Las Vegas, Dustin Ash, who kind of helped me learn this road course racing style racing. So he kind of brought me up through the legend car ranks. So I want to thank him, everyone who's got me to this point in my career, helped me out. So just really want to win that bad.
Now let's go over to victory lane with Hermie.
Austin Cindric has made his way to victory lane. He climbs out. Man, where do you start with you and your race team the last couple of weeks? You get news that this team is not coming back. Next year, you come to this racetrack knowing you had to win, and you get the job done. You are now racing for a championship. Your emotions?
You're exactly right. We have two trucks that are capable for the playoffs of BKR. It's exactly what the boss needs. It's exactly what these guys deserve. It's exactly what our sponsors deserve. Draw Tight, Reese, LTI Printing, everyone is up. It's out. Ford Performance, their first truck win of the season. Roush H Engines, this thing went like a champ all day. I got to acknowledge what I did to Kaz in turn 5. Everyone's watched this race many years past. Everybody knows it's going to come to contact. The second guy's closest to the first. I raced with Kaz growing up. He drove my Bando, was the first car he ever drove. I know his family, so I know they're not going to be overly excited about it, but he already had a win, so I didn't feel too bad about having to do something to make it happen for this team.
He said he expected contact, but was expecting you to try to pass him instead of just dumping him in that situation.
Yeah, I honestly ran out of time. He did an awesome job on the tires he was on. He made me put me into that box. I mean, he was doing a hell of a job on old tires, trying to stay out in front of me, and that's kind of the last resort I had. I didn't know what kind of race speed I was going to have going on the backstretch, and I'd rather not have it go into that. I'd rather have it somewhere where I can control it, and that's what happened. But awesome to have these guys in victory lane, especially with the BKR tributes.
These guys come back from a penalty. From last to first, they win at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
That's right, Hermie. They had a penalty for a piece of equipment drug out of the box. Their gas can got stuck in the gas receptacle as they were trying to pull out of the pit stop, and he had to restart 16th on lap 45, and in 19 laps made his way all the way back to first place.
It's just it's the world we live in, and we've seen it here the last couple of years. Guys just run you over to get the victory. It's tough to watch, but that's just the way it works.
Our regular season finale Friday, September 15th, under the lights from Chicagoland Speedway. We'll qualify at 5 o'clock, the setup show and the race all Friday, this 15th of September. Now later tonight, the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series from Darlington, 6 o'clock Eastern on NBCSN. And tomorrow, don't forget Race Hub. Recap the exciting race weekend Monday evening, 6 o'clock on FS1. Coming up next, NHRA qualifying from Indianapolis. Congratulations to Austin Cindric, the winner at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, clinching his spot in the playoffs and a chance to run for a championship.